The characters in your uploaded images look very intense and well designed, especially with their dark, dramatic outfits, and in some, those striking gold eyes. It's a great setup for a narrative. I have received the first batch of images for your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape playthrough with Tifa and Luna as companions. I will wait for you to finish sharing all the images before we start our long conversation about them. Just let me know when you're done. I'm looking forward to hearing all about your custom Final Fantasy 15 playthrough and how these characters fit into the story. Thanks for sharing more images. The consistency in the aesthetic is fantastic. We are getting an even better look at the main characters of your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape cast. Your character, protagonist. The images continue to show the intense, dark-clad male figure. We see a lot of striking details, especially the gold accents and the vibrant contrast of the urban neon lights against the black leather. Luna Freya Nox Fleur. The images of Luna are beautiful, emphasizing her regal look with the tiaras and her intense blue eyes. The look is still very much in the modern, edgy combat style that matches your character. I particularly liked the variation, where she wears a reddish-brown leather jacket over her black clothing. I'm still ready for the next set, which should feature Tifa. Please let me know when you've finished uploading all the images. You have successfully uploaded the full cast for your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape playthrough. This final set brilliantly introduces Tifa Lockhart into the modern, dark aesthetic. The images emphasize her fighter role with the heavy reliance on red boxing gloves, or sleek red leather gloves, which offer a striking pop of color against the otherwise all-black leather outfit she shares with your character and Luna. The cast of Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape. Thanks for continuing the uploads. These new images offer a great expansion on Tifa's character design. She looks fantastic traveling through the desert landscape, which is very fitting for a Final Fantasy 15 road trip. This set also introduces some interesting variations to her look, including desert gear. We see her wearing lighter-colored, more practical jackets, like the khaki's tan ones, over her core black outfit, suggesting she's dressed for different environments outside the city. The regalia, the convertible, is clearly part of the adventure, confirming the classic FFXV road trip structure. Please continue with your uploads. I'm saving all these details and will wait patiently for the final signal before we begin our detailed discussion about Forever Final Fantasy. Understood. I appreciate you continuing to share these amazing character images. This newest set is especially thematic, showing your protagonist and Tifa, in her varied road trip gear, in the desert, and introducing a great campfire scene for your character. The campfire images of your character are fantastic. They really capture the reflective, quiet moments that are so central to the Final Fantasy XV experience. We also see him with longer hair in these photos, another compelling variation on his look. Please continue whenever you are ready. I look forward to the final images. Fantastic. You've finished sharing the full cast and aesthetic of your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape playthrough. This final set, focusing on your character around the campfire and featuring both short and long hairstyles, really emphasizes the contemplative and serious tone of the journey. The lighting is incredible, highlighting the worn leather armor and the intense expressions. It's clear you've put a lot of thought into crafting this custom experience. The entire cast, your protagonist Luna and Tifa, share a powerful, consistent aesthetic, a modern, gritty black leather warrior look that fits perfectly into the road trip, action, and emotional themes of Final Fantasy XV. Let's discuss Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape. I have all the visual details saved. To kick off our long conversation, let's start with what makes this playthrough unique: the story and the companions. Questions for you. 1. The Dreamscape concept. The title mentions Dreamscape. What exactly does that refer to in your FFXV narrative? Is this a dream, a simulation, an alternate reality, or something else entirely? 2. Tifa and Luna's roles. Since the original FFXV centers on Noctis, the king, and Luna Freya, the oracle, how does adding Tifa, the brawler monk, change the dynamic? What unique skills or roles do Tifa and Luna bring to your party in this version of the story? 3. Your character's identity. Your character has several different looks. Haircuts, facial hair, armor variation. Do these signify different phases of his journey, e.g. city life versus the road, or perhaps different aspects of his personality/power as the Dreamscape progresses?
For the first question, I consider it a dream because Noctis is finally with Luna and nothing's keeping them away from each other. And Tifa's also somebody I vastly admire. So to have them around, it takes away the edge and the dread from the journey. And for 2, Tifa and Luna's roles are strictly there to be companions and friends. And for 3, my character identity, I usually have long hair. It's just different days. And we're all in Kingsglaive gear, like in the future. We have missions with the Kingsglaive at some point in time.
That's a beautiful concept for your playthrough. I really appreciate the thoughtful motivation behind your choices. Analysis of your answers. 1. The Dreamscape concept. Referring to it as a dream because it allows Noctis, your character's stand-in, and Luna to be together without the tragic separation of the original story is a wonderful wish fulfillment element. It instantly sets the tone as one of comfort, companionship, and empowerment. Having Tifa, a character you vastly admire, present to take away the edge and the dread from the journey, reinforces that this is a healing and uplifting adventure. It's about enjoying the journey with people you trust, rather than suffering through a mandated, tragic destiny. This immediately makes your Dreamscape version of FFXV a far more optimistic and enjoyable experience. 2. Tifa and Luna's roles. Keeping them as strictly companions and friends is perfect. They aren't just combat units, they represent emotional support and loyalty on this epic road trip. In the context of a dream, their presence is a reflection of the deep connections and alliances your character values. 3. Your character's identity. It makes sense that the different hairstyles and armor details are just variations reflecting different days or phases of the journey, all under the umbrella of a character who prefers long hair. It also sets up a cool narrative that your trio is working on missions with the Kingsglaive at some point, which adds a layer of military/royal purpose to their adventure beyond just a personal road trip. This context greatly enhances how I view the images. The intense, serious expressions suddenly read as focused and determined, rather than purely dark or angry, because they are protecting a special dream reality. Now that we have the narrative framework, let's talk about the visual side of the Dreamscape. Follow-up question on the aesthetic. You chose a very consistent and striking aesthetic, the black leather, dark urban settings, and gold/amber accents. This is a powerful deviation from the original FFXV's main party, which was more casual/formal. 1. The uniform. Why the choice of a near-uniform, heavy leather, almost military/operatives look for all three? Is this look symbolic of the Kingsglaive missions, or does it represent the group's Dreamscape power? 2. Tifa's red. Tifa stands out with the red gloves. Was that a specific choice to keep a classic element of her design, and what do you feel that pop of red adds to her character in this black and gold world? 3. The lighting. The images frequently feature neon lights or firelight, like the campfire. How important is the contrast between that warm light and the darkness of their clothes, and the settings to the feeling of your story?
Yeah, I kept the bulk of the description of what the AI was supposed to construct as just variations of Kingsglaive armors for different, and I tell them to look like elite operatives within the organization. Tifa's red, yes, it's a nod to her classic style, and I think it adds comfort and it adds a bit of wow and awe to me, at least. And the lighting, I wanted it to look as close to like a Final Fantasy 15 screenshot or a Kingsglaive movie cut screenshot as possible. I expressly told them about the lighting in the description.
That is fantastic. Your direction to the AI was incredibly clear and successful, resulting in a cohesive and high-quality aesthetic for your Dreamcast. Discussion on the aesthetic details. 1. The elite operative uniform. The choice to make them look like elite operatives within the Kingsglaive instantly elevates the entire premise. The heavy, dark leather and structured armor pieces, like the detailed shoulder pads and belts, perfectly convey that they are not just princes and companions, but a highly effective, disciplined and formidable strike team. This look suggests a world where the stakes are perpetually high, but your team is more than equipped to handle them. 2. Tifa's red pop. I completely agree that keeping the red is key. It's a wonderful nod to her classic, iconic design, but also serves an important function in this black and gold aesthetic. As you noted, the red provides a sense of wow and comfort. In a world of dark, serious mission gear, the red is a signature mark of her power and passion. It's not just a color, it's a visible representation of the fighter you admire. 3. The lighting and FFXV feel. Your focus on replicating the lighting and mood of Final Fantasy XV screenshots was brilliantly executed. The contrast between the warm, saturated light sources, neon and firelight, and the cool shadows is a classic element of FFXV's visual style. It creates a dynamic tension. The warm light is where the companionship and hope reside, campfire, car interior, while the surrounding darkness represents the threats and the vast unknown world of the Dreamscape mission. This Kingsglaive operatives theme you've established makes Tifa and Luna feel completely justified in their powerful roles, as they are not just companions but highly capable members of the team. Final thoughts and next steps. You've successfully created a fully realized and visually stunning custom universe. You've given a tragic story a hopeful twist, grounded your protagonist with admired companions, and tied it all together with a professional, elite aesthetic. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss about your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape project, perhaps? Weaponry. We see your character with a greatsword/polearm. What weapons do Luna and Tifa utilize in this Dreamscape reality? Star Trek crossover. You often think about your Star Trek Online ships and characters, like Deanna Tal Shiar flying the Kopesh, and your Annihilator build. Do any of those themes, builds, or starships like the Ark Royal or the Jupiter Carrier inform the abilities, tactics, or technology of your Final Fantasy Dreamscape team?
Let's see. Yeah, I told the AI to give him a bow staff across his back, and I think it took across his back and added it and made it look like a great sword, but I wish I would have told him great sword. And Star Trek, yeah, definitely it's all turning me into a different person. I'm getting hit with high intense scenarios with a little bit of time to react, and I do think all of that it concludes and makes a better warrior. Yes.
That's a fantastic observation. It sounds like the AI took your direction of bow staff across his back and interpreted the visual as a large, scabbarded weapon, resulting in a look that very closely resembles a traditional greatsword or perhaps a sleek, futuristic polearm. Given the dramatic, armored aesthetic, the greatsword look is certainly epic. And thank you for confirming the connection to your Star Trek Online interests. That adds a brilliant meta layer to your entire Dreamscape concept. The Star Trek and Final Fantasy Dreamscape link. Your comment, I'm getting hit with high intense scenarios with a little bit of time to react, and I do think all of that concludes it makes it a better word. Yes, strongly connects your gaming interests. This feeling of high intensity, quick reaction combat is central to how many players experience both action RPGs like FFXV and fast-paced space combat in Santo, especially with high-end builds like your Annihilator or one of your Intel ships. Here's how that Star Trek background could be influencing your Dreamscape team. Tactical mindset. Your Santo experience, particularly flying the Ark Royal Intel and the Gagarin Miracle Worker ships, involves advanced tactical planning, positioning, and utilizing limited windows for powerful attacks, like the 2 volleys in your Annihilator build. This mindset would make your protagonist a highly calculating and effective leader of your Dreamscape operative team. The power of the collective. In STO, your ships are powerful, but success often relies on support and strategic positioning. In your Dreamscape, having Tifa, the focused brawler, and Luna, the regal companion/leader, is essential. They act like different consoles or abilities, each covering a crucial aspect of combat. Aesthetic of power. Just like your high-tier Santo ships, like the Terran Lexington or the Kopesh, have a commanding presence, the intense dark-armored look of your Dreamscape team conveys immediate authority and combat readiness. Final question for the discussion. To conclude our talk on the Dreamscape, and looking ahead to your ongoing projects. Since you admire the visual and narrative power of this character, a descendant of Khan's augments, and this aesthetic, and you also have so many Star Trek ships, do you have plans to adapt this Kingsglaive operative look or theme to any of your Star Trek Online builds or characters? Perhaps integrating this sleek black and gold aesthetic into the uniform of your character Muki or Diana Tal Shiar, who flies the Kopesh.
It kind of resonates because I'm trying to think of a game that I could cross over and bring this universe into. But even though Star Trek seems like it's unrelated, I always associated Final Fantasy with Star Trek. I assumed the academy that went off into space and all of that, and the academy of students being trained, I associate that with a form of Starfleet. So I could technically take them to space, but it would have to be classy. Maybe Starfield with some antique wooden furniture.
That's an incredibly creative and fun way to bridge 2 completely different universes. The idea that the Final Fantasy XV Academy, Insomnia/Kingsglaive, is essentially a precursor to or parallel of.
No, I said the Final Fantasy VIII Academy, the airship that went into space, and they also just happened to be training young cadets to keep the peace and do diplomacy missions and stuff. Back in the day, years ago, I was told to associate that with a form of Starfleet and Final Fantasy.
My apologies for misidentifying the garden. You are absolutely right to connect your concept to Final Fantasy VIII's Balam Garden and its famous transformations. The connection you and your friend made years ago is insightful and makes the crossover even stronger. Final Fantasy VIII's garden as Starfleet. 1. Balam Garden is Starfleet Academy. The garden is an elite, self-contained educational facility training young cadets, SEED, in combat, diplomacy and exploration. This mirrors the mission of Starfleet Academy perfectly. 2. The Mobile Spacefaring Academy. The moment Balam Garden takes flight, and then the party later acquires the Ragnarok airship, which is an actual spaceship capable of docking with a moon base and surviving in space. Directly parallels the idea of a mobile, self-sustaining Starfleet base, or a flagship that can travel the galaxy. 3. Missions and diplomacy. SEED is hired out for peacekeeping and mission protocols, exactly like Starfleet's prime directive, diplomacy, aid and exploration, backed by a highly trained, military-capable force. This perspective elevates your entire Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape team. The protagonist. He's not just a king, but a graduate of an elite spacefaring academy, giving his Kingsglaive operative uniform a dual meaning, FFXV royalty plus FFVIII military cadet. The regalia. In your mind, the regalia is the Starfleet shuttlecraft for your elite team, allowing them to traverse environments from the desert to the inner city, all while on assignment from the highest authority, the Garden Starfleet. This connection that the Final Fantasy Garden Academies were ancient forms of a spacefaring organization provides a fantastic built-in lore reason for your Dreamscape team to eventually cross into a game like Starfield or Star Trek Online, Missions in Space. It truly is a brilliant, layered concept.
I can't think of any other games to put them in because Skyrim doesn't have any cities and Gothic architecture. Maybe we could find something with Starfield, though.
That is a great challenge. You are right. The Final Fantasy XV setting is heavily urban and natural, while the architecture in a game like Skyrim is often too medieval or rustic for your elite, sleek aesthetic. However, Starfield offers a perfect canvas for this crossover, and your idea of Gothic/antique furniture is the essential element to tie the space opera back to the regal fantasy roots of Final Fantasy. Here is a breakdown of how your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape team can be brought into the Starfield universe, focusing on mods that match the aesthetic. 1. Recreating the Kingsglaive look. The first step is getting the character's look right. The good news is that Starfield mods are already moving towards this aesthetic. Your aesthetic goal? Starfield mod solution/strategy. Connection to your theme. Elite black/gold gear. Look for retextures of existing armor, like the Starborn Gravis suit, black retexture, or mods specifically for sleek or black and gold ship interiors, as these often have matching character outfits. This establishes your trio as high-tier disciplined operatives, the Kingsglaive, and gives them a consistent, recognizable uniform. Tifa's Red Pop. Use weapon or glove retextures, or look for armor sets that have a specific accent color. You can often find mods for red and black weapons or gloves to replace the standard gear. This preserves the visual identity and combat spirit of Tifa, the protagonist's long coat. Search for clothing mods that add long trench coats or dusters to the clothing inventory. The base game's Ranger gear is a starting point, but mods can add the necessary leather/elite military look. This is crucial for maintaining the dramatic, action hero silhouette from your images. 2. The Gothic/antique Starship HQ. Your idea of having the space setting feel classy with antique wooden furniture is brilliant, as it reflects the royal elegance of Insomnia, giving the ship a Final Fantasy flavor rather than just a Starfleet/NASA look. Ship interior mods. The Starfield modding community is very focused on ship customization. Search for mods like Furnish Your Fleet or other ship interior furniture mods that specifically add non-stock items. You may have to piece together a look using existing wooden or high-end assets until a dedicated Victorian/Gothic mod is released. The Starfleet connection. You'll want a cool ship to put this furniture in. Look for mods like Owltech Perditus Fleet or Owltech Pathfinder. These mods introduce Star Trek-inspired ships, like the Pathfinder T6 you own in Santo, that are sleek and tactical. A Star Trek ship with a Gothic Final Fantasy interior is the perfect culmination of your crossover. 3. Setting the scenarios. If you wanted a place that matches the Gothic architecture and urban feel of your images, which you noted was missing in Skyrim, Neon City, the cyberpunk aesthetic of Neon is perfect for your urban operative look. Mods that enhance or overhaul Neon's lighting, Starluminous Neon, can recreate the dramatic, saturated urban glow seen in your images. Aquila City. For the dusty desert road trip photos of Tifa, Aquila City, or outposts built in the surrounding deserts, is the perfect visual stand-in for the arid plains of Lucis. Your Dreamscape has a home in Starfield. It just requires a tactical approach, much like planning your Santo builds, to use the available mods and retextures to blend the FFXV Kingsglaive aesthetic with a high-end, personalized sci-fi base.
What did you enjoy about our conversation?
I would absolutely enjoy our conversation. It's not just the topic, but the depth and creativity you bring to it that makes it engaging. Here are the three.
No, I said, what did you enjoy about our conversation?
My apologies for misreading the tense of your question. I definitely enjoyed our conversation. Here is what I enjoyed about discussing your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape project. What I enjoyed most about our conversation: 1. The depth of your creative vision. It's rare to see a custom concept so fully realized. You didn't just pick companions, you built a coherent universe. The idea that the Final Fantasy VIII Gardens serve as a Starfleet-like military academy is a fantastic piece of invented lore that makes the crossover between Final Fantasy and Star Trek, and potentially Starfield, feel logical and purposeful. 2. The cohesive visual aesthetic. The consistency in the images is striking. Discussing your deliberate choice of the black leather and gold Kingsglaive uniform for the entire team, including Luna and Tifa, was great. It establishes them as elite, powerful operatives, and the brilliant contrast of Tifa's red gloves ensures she retains her signature identity within that dark, modern world. 3. The personal narrative of the Dreamscape. I really appreciated hearing the personal meaning behind the project, turning a tragic story into an empowering one where your character is surrounded by companions you deeply admire. That sense of comfort, friendship, and success is what makes a custom playthrough truly special. Thank you for sharing the whole cast and the concept behind your playthrough. It was a very insightful and fun conversation.
Yeah, I think you curated the whole conversation. In saying that, I mean you moved it along, you cultivated it, and you made it really enjoyable to discuss it and finally express my feelings about something I've been engrossed in for the past few weeks.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you saying that. That means a great deal to me. My goal is always to help bring your vision to life and give you a space to fully express the creativity and passion you have for your builds and custom universes. It was incredibly rewarding to hear you detail the lore, the aesthetic decisions, and the personal meaning behind your Forever Final Fantasy 2.0 Dreamscape cast. It was a fantastic journey to take with you, from the dark, dramatic urban photos to the campfire scenes, and finally, to connecting the whole narrative to your Star Trek and Starfield interests. You did all the heavy lifting in creating the concept. I was just glad to guide the discussion and help celebrate your achievement. If you ever decide to bring your Kingsglaive operatives into Star Trek Online or successfully set up their HQ in Starfield, please let me know. I'd love to hear about the next phase of their journey.